Greetings everyone, hey welcome. This is the August Psychic Psi Global Earth Prediction for 2020. I will be using these two decks primarily, but I might also bring in some of this I Ching at the very end, because I Ching is a very ancient form of divination, perhaps one of the oldest known to mankind, and I feel there's a great degree of accuracy that comes through the I Ching, the way it is mathematically calculated, that isn't necessarily predetermined by a person's thought patterns. So we might see at the end about a little bit of I Ching added into this. August comes to us as we have reached the crescendo of the wave, or the midpoint of 2020 in June, I guess, and we're on the downhill slope. And when I say the downhill slope, I wonder just how much of an indication that is as what is to come. I'm not an astrologer, as many of you know, but I do listen to astrology reports. And a lot of really good astrologers that I follow are saying that the planetary alignment and patterns that are coming from August on are particularly strong and just as tenuous and trying as they have been from the beginning part of 2020. So we're not out of the woods yet, and they may be a different type of set of circumstances that show themselves up. So with that in mind, let's see what August brings, and our first card out is the Emperor, and he comes to us, he's often denotes an Aries type of person energy, and often refers to the time period of March and April. So we've already been through that period this year. Is he referring to that period next year? So something about a timing event that might start in August and traverse itself all the way through to next year in March or April. The other thing he can really symbolize is a leader, so a political leader, a king or a president, or royalty. I noticed too the eagle here at the bottom by his feet, and I wonder if this represents in some way or another America's energy. Could this represent their current president, which could be Trump? The Emperor card is known as the Aries energy, and Mars is moving into Aries, I think. I could get this wrong, but he's moving into Aries for 6 months, or has that real strong energy for 6 months. And I think there's a lot of potential implication of warring energy or fighting energy, very much like this Martian Mars Aries energy can predict. And when I said Martian, I wonder what that means as well, because a lot of people are sort of thinking, are there any indications of extraterrestrial activity, or the government's telling us more information about what has gone on in the past, so making records public for people about things such as extraterrestrial, alien activity, health protocols, new technology, all sorts of things. So we'll just pick another couple from this deck to see what the Emperor could be telling us. This is a lot to come out for these cards that I'm using. I don't normally use this many in a reading, but I do see the Strength has come out as well, another major arcana, and the Sun, as well as an Ace, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Knight of Pentacles. So a whole bunch that jumped out, 6 of them. And 4 of those are major arcanas and an Ace. So the Sun usually denotes positivity, it denotes new beginnings, new enterprise, love in the air, some sort of love or romance. The Strength is about regaining inner strength, but sometimes also physical strength. And we've noted around the planet we have this whole virus issue that has been going since really December of last year. Could we see a return of strength for people? But to be honest, I'm doing this just as August is about to come upon us, and it doesn't feel that way. We've still got multiple outbreaks on a daily basis of the highest recorded numbers daily of this virus issue. So it doesn't feel to me as though it's going to abate, but these cards aren't showing great negativity, I have to say. The Wheel of Fortune is a card that denotes huge change, like the changing of an evolution. So the change of the guards, and what was is no longer. What was a stronghold is now a loose foothold. It is spinning, and it is not creating solid boundaries for us to form communities on. The Knight of Pentacles is very much a slow indicator of slow timing, as is the Wheel of Fortune. This is a very slow timing event. So is this guy. He's like slowly getting a footing back, slowly turning the corner with new conceptual ideas. And here's the Pentacles energy. So this could be to do with finances or money, or things just back being grounded in government institutions or big institutions or politics or within countries and their governments. I do notice that there are two suns that have come in, and we've just been through the two big eclipses of June and July. Now they may be still playing a major role in the events that are moving forward. The Ace of Swords is about winning, finally, like a triumphant win after much hard effort has been put into something. So again, this to me is a little bit of a good symbol. It's still coming, it isn't quite here yet, but it's about ideas. It's very much intellect, using the intellect, communication, thought processes, forming something, making something. And we see all these new health modalities coming in for us around this whole vaccine idea, about ways of getting people safe or well. We see more technology being used in equipment within the hospitals, especially breathing equipment for people, and all of that comes through the ideas of the mind and is formulated and then made into actual goods or services or products that people are looking into or dreaming up or formulating. So those cards definitely are not speaking of this doom and gloom, but I do wonder if he is a timing event, the the March-April timing event, and this Wheel of Fortune indicates a slow turning process. Yeah, so maybe it's a sign to say there's still a long time to go before we're out of, if we're talking about the virus thing, until we're out of that aspect. There's a lot of yellow in there as well, and yellow often talks about the mind and the intellect, and also the solar plexus area and strength. This is for August for 2020. This is the collective conscious energies that we're pulling on here through the side deck. What is it that is going around the globe collectively from the citizens? What can we pull upon from the cosmic realm as well for information? The Sage, I can't remember if he was in for July or not, but again, he's very much about using the intellect, devising things, formulating things, bringing something into a concept. He also is often associated with things from space or space travel or awareness, new technologies. We've seen a few advancements with launches up towards and around Mars, also the Moon. We had a close flyby of an asteroid yesterday, the closest in a very long time between us and the Moon, and this card can often also represent things like that. So asteroids, meteorites, space information, also technological advancement. And again, he's the first one out, so it's like there's a big focus on some sort of maybe advancement, technology, or having some success in something that's been devised. It's about using our minds, using some intelligence. Can also be about signing documents, big documents being signed. Oh wow. The sun again. That's two suns that have come out. What's this one? The Tower. It's come out upside down. I'm not entirely convinced that this deck it really matters. Maybe the sun is going to represent intense heat, possibly, especially for the northern hemisphere, because it is, of course, your summertime up there. The sun can also represent, it's coming to me slowly, we've got the 8-8 energy coming in, the Lion's Gate portal energy in August, and this might be really intense this year, and this is the aligning of the sun and the star Sirius, if you like, and this is talking about the stars and alignments. So the actual 8-8 day of August might be relevant or powerful. The sun might also be showing some changes in its patterns. We have been in a solar minimum. We might move into more movement within the sun, or see some CMEs, which we haven't seen much of for a while. I also see the children there and these really dry crops. So crops might be affected one way or another in August, as might children be. And I would have thought this could be in the hotter parts of the globe, in the northern hemisphere, but also possibly through the Asian area. So the sort of really tropical part. And the reason I say that is this Tower card has really blue sky in the background, but it looks like rain to me. So we could still be inundated with really heavy periods of rain and massive storms that maybe wipe out a lot of crops or cause damage one way or another. And this building looks like something that may have been in parts of Europe or the older parts of Asia, up through the back of India, Nepal, China, Pakistan, areas like that. There could be weather related anomalies or something that happens up in those parts. The sun does also affect, due to its magnetic impulses or its magnetic outputs that it might direct towards Earth, it can affect earthquakes as well and things like that. So we could even see, this might not be just weather related, it could be earthquake related in some of those areas I've mentioned. The Tower in the tarot deck often represents change as well, and can be sudden change. The Tower building may reference, again we're talking about royalty or politics or political people or something along those lines that comes to the fore in August, with either family lines or, you know, politicians, governments, or royalty that may be in the headlines one way or another. I can't depict exactly yet which one it might be. This is for August for 2020. We're back in the stars again. So we've had a lot of cards that have talked about the sun and the stars in real terms. We've had this one, two of the sun, and two that have referenced, in my mind, quite succinctly, the stars or the cosmos, or being up in there. So is this referring to the planetary alignments that are coming? Because the drawing on here is very similar to the drawing here. This card also often denotes that something is beyond our control, that it is being formulated and we don't know the answer to it yet. The answer is in the stars, and the dotted lines are referencing, in my mind, something that hasn't come into a solid, definitive construct yet. It's something that we can't necessarily see, so it's taking shape, it's taking formation. And it may be also in part due to this evolutionary wheel that is constantly turning, that is delivering the slow turning change. And again, we've got royalty or possibly political leaders or some sort of leaders, because those two have a crown on, designating that they're not just your average citizen, they seem to be leaders of some sort. This reading feels as though it's talking about prominent people or prominent situations globally. I'm not sure who, they haven't given much more information, although that Emperor did point in my mind a little bit to America. But if you think about, we have a Japanese Emperor, I think, on the planet, and I also think that could go up through some of the Asian countries as well with the word Emperor. I'm not sure. He does bode fighting energy, but other than that, we haven't seen a lot of other fighting energy come out. So this is for August, and these cards are very reluctant, I have to say. August 2020, we're just going to have a look at a couple more. Union, that's usually in my mind, it's severe weather, inland tsunami type settings, mudslides, rock slides, avalanches, rivers that overflow, so massive flooding, weather patterns. One more card for August from here. I really enjoy it when you guys all add your references, your ideas and concepts as well. So we finish off with the moon. So we're still not getting a lot of information. It's like a period that is being relegated to the cosmos, and we're not necessarily privy to all of the information coming, because now we've got another galactic or space related card, in as much that the moon, so two suns and a moon. Are we going to find some information out about space or our planets around us, such as the moon or Mars? Are there going to be new planets that we find out about? Is there new information about the plans on traveling to these planets? Are there new designs or concepts coming? Or are they going to give us some more information about things that happen in space, such as space travelers, alien or extraterrestrial information? Or are there sightings along those lines? Or is it just information that we find out or learn about? Or is it to do with planetary alignments that are coming into shape in August? The moon can also often mean the Tropic of Cancer as an area. It can also mean to do with our seas, so storms that form in the seas or the oceans, really high king tides, strong storm surges, sometimes also earthquakes that happen in the sea, and possible tsunami type energy as well. That's all I'm getting from them. They have been really tight. They haven't really given us much information. So I'm going to do this to finish off this reading. And these are the I Ching cards. They're quite new to me, but there is a divination system within the book that came with this. And we pull two cards from this deck, and this will give us a present situation, and then it will give us an outcome. So we're not asking anything in particular. We are just asking what is happening in August, and what is it that they would like us to know about August, and then what is the outcome of what they are telling us about. So this is the I Ching. Let's tap into collective conscious energy for this. Global collective conscious. We're looking for two cards, one present and one for the future outcome. Okay, well, we've got one that has come out there, gentle penetration. Some of you may not know a lot about I Ching, and as I say, I'm actually learning about it too, but it is a very old divination system. So that is our here and now, that is our present energy field that is coming in for August, and then we want to find out an outcome for it. One card we're seeking for the outcome to go with this. Okay. So gentle penetration, which sounds a little bit more worthy than the second card that arrived, which is shock. So 57 and 51. I am now going to turn to the book and I'm going to work this out for us so that we can read it and understand the message. So this is a bit of a complex situation in as much that with this book that was produced by the author Paul O'Brien for this visionary I Ching, he has given this particular format for this reading. This is your present card and this is the future card. And what we do is we subtract, or we look at the different hexagrams up in the corners up here. And the lines that are different on the hexagrams are the lines of reference or importance or value that you read for the present card. The card for the future, you read not the hexagram information, but rather the main pertaining information of the card. And these two are very, very different from each other, with the gentle penetration and then the shock. So I will go ahead and read you the messages that have arrived for the gentle penetration. And of all things, all 6 hexagrams are different on these cards. Not one of them is the same. So we're getting this total dichotomy of energies. It's almost as if you look in a mirror and you see one thing, which is the reverse of reality. So that's why I was a bit confused with what was going on with these cards over here. I feel they're really hiding some more in-depth meaning, but we'll just have to wait and see August through. I think it could be an unusual month, certainly with these I Ching messages for sure. So here are the hexagram messages that have arrived for this card. Inborn gentleness can have the unfortunate side effect of indecision. This points to a case of a gentle spirit drifting into quandary and becoming filled with doubt. When the rudder of personal will flaps back and forth with no clear direction, it must be grasped firmly and brought back on course like the rudder of a boat. Discipline may be required. So that was one message. Now I'm going to run through and give you the other messages, and the fact that we've got 6 different messages for this one card, the interpretation of it, tells us the complexity of the level of energy surrounding the planet at the moment. So the next one, when negative forces are undermining your best plans, trace the shadows back to their source and gently expose them to the light. Openness and honesty will succeed, but only if you have been honest with yourself first. Search your heart and mind for hidden enemies like self-pity, pride, or a rigid view of what should happen. An excess of feelings, either hard and arrogant or soft and self-indulgent, obstructs progress and saps your strength. By gently bringing negative inner feelings to the light of day, you dissolve their power over you, and once you do so, good fortune awaits. Next message. Even a gently penetrating mind can be driven to excess processing. After carefully researching and pondering a serious decision, further deliberation could lead to a subversion of the will. An overactive mind may begin to use fresh doubts as a shield against taking necessary action. When analysis is overdone, the will becomes paralyzed and weakness of purpose sets in. Misfortune can result from too much thinking. Next message. Combine responsibility, experience, and energy with modesty for enduring effects. When approaching difficult situations that require sustained effort over time to achieve a desired goal, keep these virtues in mind. Next message. A changing line in this position indicates a situation in which things are far from perfect and a new direction needs to be taken. Though the beginning has not been horrendous, it hasn't been great either. Some careful reform is in order, but don't throw out the good with the bad. Continue making changes and adjustments until the situation is aligned with true purpose. Self-correction will bring success. Final message of this card which arrived on the left, the gentle penetration, which is the current energy or message that's arriving for this period in August. When a quiet, penetrating power has reached its peak, both success and difficulty are indicated. For a certain loss of strength will also come about. If you penetrate deeply into a situation and discover strong opposing forces, you will be practically helpless. In such a case, immediate withdrawal would be the best course of action. So given that these messages are coming from the collective conscious, and these are the messages we've received, and there are so many of them, they could be referring to all different realms or topics or subject matter, you know, just traversing the planet. But I think the I Ching is quite adept at covering this type of energy field that we give off, you know, and that we're tapping into through collective conscious. So the next card that arrived is the future likelihood or outcome, and it's called shock. So thunder above and thunder below. So this is what we're reading out for the shock. One hears thunder unexpectedly. First comes fear, then a sharpened vision. Recall a close brush with danger, a falling branch, a barely avoided automobile accident, an escape from a violent confrontation. Such incidents arouse every nerve in your body, perhaps in a brief wave of panic, but soon, once the danger has passed, the initial reaction gives way to heightened awareness. The same process occurs with other types of shock: the loss of a job, the death of a loved one, the failure of a business, and so on. The lasting impact of a major shock can be stimulating or debilitating, depending upon your perspective. The critical factor is a willingness to be open to fear rather than running away from it, enabling you to transform anxiety into laser-sharp perception. There can be a positive side to shock. When overtaken by crisis, the wise look within and search their hearts for strength to face the world with courage. Courage can mean daring to take the unexpected path, to bounce back quickly after failure, or to have faith in the meaning of life when confronted with great loss, even death. We tend to think of shock only in terms of unpleasant events. We can also be jarred, however, by the release of tension that comes with an unexpected success. To keep your bearings in the aftershock of trauma or victory, it is essential that your inner compass be aligned with the magnetic force that guides you toward fulfillment of your deepest desires and your highest destiny. Prepare yourself to take some jarring surprise in stride. Meditate a little bit to find your center. A calm reaction to the losses and gains that may arise will help you surmount these shocks to your system. And that's the final message for the predictive reading for the August collective conscious energies. Wow, I think introducing the I Ching is a really powerful broadband, you know, like we've expanded out into a far bigger collective field. So interpreting these messages could be quite intense, and actually analysing them into specific situations that crop up could also be you know, quite a detailed orientation task to do. But I wish you all really well for August. Obviously be safe, be well, and yeah, it is what it is, and there is still some positives in these cards that arrived. So I still think August is like a hidden agenda. There's some things we can see, there's some things we can't. It will all come out in the wash. Thank you for subbing the channel, for liking the video, for leaving your comments and your ideas. Did you like the I Ching edition at the end, or would you rather not have the I Ching incorporated? I know it does make it a little bit longer. Thank you everyone. Much love. Namaste.